Welcome back to Fear and Beer, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Join us as we venture year-round into the fog.
Make sure you give us a like and a follow on your podcast platform of choice. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube page where we upload every episode in its video format, and maybe a few other surprises as well.
Make sure you're following us on social media to keep up to date with our newest haunted content.
I'm Nick.
I'm Seamus.
I'm Jamie.
There she is, the most beautiful house award. It's our award show. I dressed up for the occasion. I have a little Major Sweets bow tie themed up. This is my t-shirt. This is about as much dress-up effort as I'm putting into it right now because it was a long day at work. So this is what we're working with. Typically on our awards show, we've done in the past, we've had some guest announcers and stuff like that, but I kind of thought our busy season was going to end with Horror Nights, and it hasn't. I've still been just as busy with everything in the world. So we didn't really have time to, go about the community and get everybody else involved in that this year. So maybe we'll bring that back next year, but we figured this year we're just going to run with it. This is our 4th annual Fear and Beer HHN Awards. What's going on, Seamus? What do you hear?
I hear music.
I don't.
There's music playing. Am I crazy?
Maybe.
Is it
All right, never mind. Sorry, continue. I thought. Never mind. Sorry. That was my fault. I
have it on my keys.
We're playing music through your headphones.
I thought you were playing music in the background for it. I was like, oh, this is new.
I think I've done that in the past. You know what? I'm probably going to edit this episode up a little bit with some little zhuzh in there.
That's stupid.
So now you won't look crazy. I will look crazy because I will have said that there was no music, and now there will have been music. But yes, this is our 4th annual HHN Fear and Beer Awards, where we come up with the categories, we decide the winners, and you are all winners in our books. So before we jump into this, I'm going to crack my beer. I lied to Jamie last week. I said I didn't get any sours, but I did. But I don't think you would have liked this one. Anyways,
I was just going to say I don't have one. Why didn't you give me that one?
It is a sour ale with peanut butter and jelly. You don't like peanut butter that much. So this is from Tripping Animals. It's called Year 6 Floating. I kind of more so got it just because I like the peanut butter and jelly aesthetic. But Tripping Animals is from Doral, down in Florida, towards Miami area. It's a 6% ABV, 0 IBU, and it is a sour ale conditioned with peanut butter, raspberry, strawberry, and blackberry. So I'm going to pour this out, and let's see what we're working with. I think it's going to be a pretty muddy looking kind of beer. Let's see. It's a little frothy. Almost looks like a smoothie style, but let's see.
I feel like peanut butter flavors go well with like stouts. I don't know how it'd be in like a sour.
Yeah, that's why I didn't think. Oh, that's weird. If you can see, it's my Mario cup. I'm going to try and tilt it. Is very pinkish. So it's definitely got more of that raspberry style coloring, but it's heavy on the peanut butter notes, like off the nose. So I'm interested to see how they incorporate that into a sour. Because you're right, Jamie. That's a big stout thing. That's not a sour too often kind of thing. But let's dive in. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. That's unique. That's different. That is weird.
I might make a guest appearance and try it real quick and see if I like it.
That's weird.
Or save a little bit.
Yeah, I'll save you a little bit in the can. I won't pour what's in the can out, but yeah, I don't hate it. But I also favor peanut butter and jelly flavors a lot, so maybe my favoritism goes a little bit more towards that. But so yeah, wow. Maybe I should have picked like champagne or something for the awards show. Popping bottles for all these amazing winners. A little bit of the bubble.
I mean, to be fair, I'm drinking the semi-champagne of beers, so...
There we go.
Same
we have
color.
a champagne of sorts. All right, so let's get into this. So first off, we had...
I'm an idiot. Sorry, continue.
Oh, you're thinking of High Life.
I'm thinking of High Life. I'm stupid.
No, you have the champagne of Fear and Beer beers, because that is the most popular beer.
There we go.
So first off, we did a section of this last year, which I wanted to reincorporate that, and that was our listeners awards, because sometimes we don't have the same opinions of everybody. So I figured we'd give them a say in this portion as well. So what I did was I posted a little Instagram story a couple days ago and different poll options to kind of see where everybody else is at for some of these winners. And it was open ended, so you could submit your own stuff. So we had some funny answers in there. Somebody for favorite drink said whatever the guy in the Mardi Gras room was drinking because that puke was clean or something like that. But me and Jamie will go through these because we tallied up the winners today. So I'll jump right in and let's see what the first one was. So I had favorite drink. So the drink of the year, according to the listeners. We're jumping right into this thing, I know. There was really 3 standouts amongst the community of our listeners. So the nominees through the process, I would say, are the Ghoul Juice, the Whole Hog, and the Shirley Black. And this was a tight race. So the listeners decided that from a 7-6 vote, because everybody else was kind of scattered amongst the other ones, that the Shirley Black edged out the Whole Hog and took home the favorite drink amongst the listeners. So congratulations, listeners. You won.
Yay,
you
Shirley
picked a good one.
Black. That was a
You
good
picked
drink.
a good one. Shirley Black, come on up. Accept your award. Nothing? No Shirley Black? Okay. All right,
No
moving
Shirley
on.
Black.
So Jamie, before we jump to one of yours, I'll jump in on this food one because I figured the drink and food are similar. This one was scattered because a lot of people had so many different options. You know, we had somebody, we had pinchos, pizza fries, twisted taters, slimer dogs, pizza skull. Like every food item got like at least 1 or 2 votes. But the 2 that really stood out, there's really the 3 nominees. And I'm curious, let's see. So we had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, we had the Rocks from Hell, and we had the Walking Taco. Seamus, which one do you think the listeners voted as the food item of the year?
Walking taco would be my guess.
And you are correct.
Ding, ding, ding.
By 1 point. The Walking
Oh.
Tacos beat the Rocks and the Stay Puft by 1 point. Stay Puft and the Rocks from Hell were all tied up, and Walking Taco took it with 1 extra vote. So that one was a tight one. So Jamie, what was one of the awards that you tallied for the listeners?
Okay, before I get into it, I just want to make sure. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yes.
My
Yes.
Zencaster. Okay, because my Zencaster thing looks funny. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so where am I going to go with mine? Let's do best scare actor in a scare zone. So this one was kind of, I wrote down a lot on my server notebook from work. I wrote down a lot of the different scare actors that were on here because there was a lot of fun ones as well. But drum roll, please. What you guys all voted with 8 total votes. And mind you, there was probably like at least like 45 in there. So this was pretty good for having it on there with everyone just coming up with their own. Was the Jester in Torture Fair by the Brass and Bull. Yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought he was very interactive on the bull and not on the bull. So I think that was good.
He was riding the bull?
Well, on the stage with the bull.
Excuse me.
A couple of honorable mentions too. There was a lot of Demon Queens characters in there too. It was kind of hard to narrow them down just because there was so many different ones, and I feel like they didn't have like names. So it was like the Cage Demon
Bird
Queen,
Cage.
the Demon Queen behind the eyeball one, but there's a lot of those too. There was one of them on here I really, really liked. And I think it was from Todd because I really like this character too. Todd Meeks, shout out to you because I thought this was a fun scare actor in the zone too. It was the in Torture Fair, the scare actor that had like the rat cage on him with like the rats like all inside and stuff like that. I thought that was a fun one too. But yeah, the Jester took this one home.
That's why I like doing the listener awards for like the scare actor things and the food items, because there's a lot of obviously just 3 of us. So when we try to come up with our list, it's a little bit like, oh, this one here. But when we get like 100 people giving out different options and stuff like that, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about this guy. Like that, yeah, that was a cool character. So kind of jogs the memory a little bit.
Plague Doctor was on there from Torture Fair a couple times. The Knight in Torture Fair. So yeah, lots of different little things on here that people thought of that I forgot about. So it was nice looking at all of them.
All right. Well, you did scare actor in a scare zone. So why don't I jump to the scare actor in a house? Now this one was pretty close as well. Oh, okay. Well, I'll jump into that one then.
Nope, perfect. You go ahead. We'll see if we have the same tallies.
I'm curious. Yeah. So
yeah,
this one was a little bit close towards the top, but again, there was just a lot of different people thrown out that I kind of forgot about. You know, the Viking. I don't know if this one was a joke or not, but somebody put the final Muerte. So I don't know if they were trying to give. I don't know if they were counting the actual final one or like the final live actor one, but
maybe.
Yeah, nope. Safe to say they did not win this one. So Muerte, you can stay on dead in your little grave because you do not have to worry about getting an award, unless we did best Spirit Halloween.
I was just going to say they took him back to Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, he's gone now. Again, though, this was just a bunch of different people thrown out there, but the top three that I got was Mummy Stripper, the Bride in Black, and the Lipstick Face Demon.
Okay, wait. Okay, yeah.
So it's a pretty heavy Insidious nomination list. So what I had in first place was the Lipstick Demon, edging out the Bride in Black by 2 points.
Okay, I was going back and counting them when we first started recording, so it must have been that one because I had the Bride in Black at first.
Yeah, so this one just edged it out because there was also a couple people that voted for just Insidious, so I gave it to both of them. So I gave it to like both Bride in Black and Lipstick because they didn't specify which one.
No, that's fair, though.
So I figured that was, I mean, it would have been the same if I just gave neither of them a vote. So either way, it ends up being one of those. So why don't you jump to one of your next items?
So since you had that one, I'm going to do Scariest House. This one, I feel like we all know what it's going to be. This had a whopping 60 votes. And the other only two options that people threw out there, the only other two houses, 1 vote for triplets, shout outs to them, and 1 vote for goblins. And this house had a whopping 59 votes. And it was...
Was it Ghostbusters?
No.
It was Insidious. Brought you down. Well, you're going to go with a pretty lopsided one, so I'll jump to a lopsided one. How's that? Best IP. Only 3 options. Well, 4 if you counted Blumhouse, but nobody counted it, unfortunately. So, yeah, I didn't really have to keep tally too much. The Bride in Black, Lipstick Demon, and Keyface Demon, come on down because y'all can accept your second award for the best IP. And if you're watching on YouTube, why don't you check out if you can check out all these little tallies. I don't know if you can read it or not. There's a whole bunch for Insidious. And the other one's got a little bit of love, but not too much on there. But yeah, Insidious was a clear-cut heavy hitter in that one. So that one didn't take too long to tally up from my end. But Jamie, how many more awards do you have on your end from the listeners?
1. I think you did more than I thought you did.
I did. I have 2. So I'll do 1 more and then you can do yours.
Okay.
So I have the Best Original House. And this one got a lot of traction. And again, there was 3 heavy hitters. Shout out to the one person who voted for Museum. I saw that too. Best Original. Hate to break it to you. Maybe if we did a Worst Original, it would have won. So maybe next year we'll do Worst Original.
Be nice.
Oh, the Museum? Fuck the Museum. What's it going to do? Is the Rotten Stone going to come here and pretend to be a bloater from The Last of Us and scare me again? I don't think so. Year's over. I can be mean to it now. Best Original, top 3. Major Sweets, Candy Factory, Slaughter Cinema 2, and Goblin's Feast. Jamie, which one? Well, no, I'll go to Seamus because you might have looked at these. So, Seamus, which one do you think won Best Original out of those 3, the 3 nominees? Goblins, Major, and Slaughter amongst the listeners.
You know, I want to say Slaughter, but I'm actually going to go Goblins. I feel Jamie, like Goblins was a sneaky winner.
Yeah, Jamie, what do you think then? Do you agree with Seamus?
I didn't. To forebode, I did not look at these answers, so I'm not sure what it was, but I think it's going to be Slaughter.
Slaughter. Well, one of you is right. So it wasn't Major Sweet. Number 1 coming in with almost 40 votes compared to 15 votes, which was second place. Goblin's Feast. Best Original, voted by the listeners.
I had a feeling it was going to be, man.
I'm so glad people liked it. It's
Get them ready for meal prep.
I just think that Slaughter being a sequel hurt it with a lot of people.
yeah.
I think they liked it, but they didn't like it as much as the first, and that kind of dropped it down their lists. So
yeah,
That's a good point.
I agree. So Jimmy, why don't you do your last one, and I'll follow it up with the heavy hitter.
So my last one is Best Scare Zone.
Ooh.
So I'll do kind of 3-1 how you were doing, Nick. So, well, actually, there's only really 3 that got voted for, except Blumhouse got 1 vote. Duality got 0. Blumhouse got 1.
Because it's not a zone.
Right. Coming in at 3rd place is Swamp of the Undead with 11. 2nd place, we have Torture Fair with 28 votes. And in 1st place, ranking it up by 2 more votes, Demon Queens with 30. So Demon Queens, you all voted Best Scare Zone this year. I was shocked to see I don't want to say shocked, but I feel like this was one of those slow burn scare zones over the season. Really grew on people. Mm-hmm.
It definitely grew on me. And I think because of the location, I did typically find myself walking straight up through like Minions and stuff like that. And I feel like I didn't spend a lot of time in zones this year. And then towards the end, once October came around, I definitely spent a little bit more time in the zones, because that's my method of attack for Horror Nights, right? September's pretty hit the houses hard as much as I can. Even if it's like longer-ish waits, I'll still do it. And then once October rolls around and they start getting like hefty waits, I'm like, all right, I'll do Stay and Scream until 8-ish, and then I'll kind of putz around the zones, get some food. And then if I want to stay later, I'll stay late, push through the night. If not, I'll do the zones for a couple hours and dip. So I did get to start appreciating Demon Queens a little bit more towards the end of the season, which is, I want to dedicate my time towards the houses to start with, and then zones are more of a fun thing. Plus, with the rain this year, I didn't bring my camera as much as I usually do, because I wanted to protect it. And by the time that the rain season finally ended, that's when the season was unfortunately starting to wrap up a little bit. So the time I did spend in there was very enjoyable. So, best house as voted by the listeners. Let's see. Ghostbusters got some love. Triplets, Major Suites got some love, but it was not ever really in contention. Insidious, come on down with that 3-peat sweep. Come and collect your award, Mr. Lipstick Demon. Maybe I'll find some audio of the Lipstick Demon, and I'll place him in here as he graciously accepts his award from us, from the Fear and Beer listeners. But that is it. That is our listeners' awards. Now we can get into the fun stuff.
Thanks for voting, everyone.
So the way we kind of do our awards, we do some funny ones, we do some real ones, and some we might have to explain to people, because I do some fun stuff here. So
I had a really funny one, just so you guys know.
I'll let you handle that one. Seamus, I just added one. Do you want to start with that one, and we'll work our way from the bottom and go to the top?
What did you just...
Yeah, let me just make sure I got it here.
Let's see if it punched through or not.
That's what I'm saying. What'd you just add?
This is the one underneath the...
It's the one right above the listeners' awards.
That's a good award.
Okay, so I'm just going to guess this is the zone that's not a zone award.
Yeah! Gotta give it some love. I wonder who it's going to go to.
So the zone that's not a zone award, I guess we're going to have to go with Duality of Fear.
Woo!
It's not really a scare zone, but hey, it tried. It tried its best.
We got to we have to find a way to plug it in there somehow. And we were just talking about it.
It gave a valiant effort at making Seamus want to leave every night because of the chainsaws. But,
say what you want about it. It is now an award-winning scare zone. As it is, by letter of the law, it is an award-winning scare zone. As long as a publication put it on there, being us, they won that award. So, on to our next award. This one I'm very excited about. This was a really tough one. This is what I described as the Maple Hockey Award, which goes to our best Canadian listeners of the year. All right. So our nominees this year would be, and it was really tough to track our listeners down of Canadians. So our nominees are Ryan Reynolds, who we're, there's a chance, right? He might be a listener. He had a lot of time on set with Deadpool and Wolverine. He had some time to kill, Seth Rogen, great Canadian guy, lives out in California, just makes a bunch of pot smoking apparatuses now. I think that's all he really does. I think he makes an Apple TV series coming out soon. Eugene Levy, they're not making Schitt's Creek anymore. He's probably listening to us. Pamela Anderson, great,
she's Canadian,
long time listener, apparently,
love
according
Pammy.
to Wikipedia. And then the Meeks. We have the Meeks creeping up there into the Maple Hockey Award nominee list. And I really, it was a tough one. But the Meeks take it home. We couldn't verify if anybody else on the list was actually a listener or not. So, I don't want to say by default, but like, they're the only ones I know for sure listen to. The other ones maybe next year. Ryan Reynolds, if you're listening, you can come back around next year. We'll give you a fair shake at things.
Seems like
and
a
then
cool guy.
That's what it is. Yeah, seems like a nice enough guy, but the Meeks we've got to spend some time with. And if you're a Canadian listener and you weren't on the list, let us know, because next year maybe Maple Hockey Award will be on the list next year, and maybe, just maybe, you have what it takes to edge out the Meeks, because I know they're competitive. We're in a fantasy football league with them. They're competitive, so they're gonna want to go back-to-back champs. So, Canadian listeners, wherever you are, let us know. Throw your name in that ring, because there is a chance. There's always a chance. So, Jamie, do you want to tackle the next one?
Yeah, I gotta try and say without laughing. So, I really hope that some of you listening may understand this reference, because I thought this was a really, really funny award. And I mean, it really had no competitors, but it was just so iconic that it had to be mentioned, and it just deserved an award, even though it just made absolutely no sense as to why it was there. And so this award is the What the Hell? It's Got a Bush award, and it goes to
bush? What
the Insidious lipstick demon with the bush in the house.
You're watching porn in the office? It's not porn. I want it. It's an egg.
For those of you who don't know, it's referencing an I Think You Should Leave skit when he feeds the eggs.
The hell? It's got a bush.
And then what the hell? It's got a bush. I don't know. I've never gotten to this part.
I've never got
I've never made it this far.
Got a bush? What the hell?
So yeah, the What the Hell? It's Got a Bush award goes to the lipstick demon Bush. I hope I never have to see you again.
That every time he popped out of the like little elevator room and just like popped out and started like gyrating at me, I was just like, and then all I could hear was Tim Robinson's voice in my head. What are you talking about? What the hell? It's got a bush.
They saw the costume and said the same thing. They probably like, all right, pretty sick. Look at the makeup. And they're like, all right, let's get this bodysuit on. They're like, what?
The fuck is this?
I would have rather worn a fucking loincloth.
Yeah, that one, that was a choice. That was definitely a choice that Universal made. And I get it, like, maybe, like, I was so distracted by the giant bush that I never got to even look at, like, did they have, like, hooves? Did they have, like, furry boots on, too?
I didn't even notice either.
Boots with the fur, I don't, like, that would have made a little sense, because, like, that goat-like demon-style hoof, like, has hair, but I don't know if there was hair on the feet. I only saw the hair in the groin area.
I wonder if they ever had to, like, touch it up over the season.
I would have dreaded it. I would have put little beads in it. It's vacation time.
All right, that's
Poppy.
enough. We're on to the next award.
All right, who's doing? Seamus, you can tackle this award. I think you might know what it means. I feel like this goes out to something every year, and it's usually my choice and something that I've eaten 1,000 times.
I was saying, typically this is the award that you graciously give out, but it's the Broken Toilet Award, and it goes to our favorite food item that constantly causes plumbing issues at the Casa de Parabicoli or Costa de Hughes. But that is the summer camp dog.
Yes.
I did not have it this year, but I heard that you have had it a couple times.
Oh, I had it a lot. The summer crap dog.
Yeah, and that's the one with the baked beans on it, right?
Oh yeah, and cheese
Yeah.
and Dorito or Cheetos and red pepper relish and
I think this is the second year in a row.
That hot dog was a problem.
That was I ate 2 of those during the scavenger hunt video. If you haven't watched that, go to our YouTube page now and you can.
Oh, that's right, you did. You did put 2 of those down.
That is really what broke the toilet. I mean that poor Simpsons bathroom probably like was just working overtime. That thing was just brutal. Enough time to eat it and run over there.
Never. Go ahead.
What?
I kind of zoned out for a minute because I was reading one of the awards, and did you say that they lined it up perfectly? They put that booth there right next to the Simpsons bathroom?
I'll say that the bathroom's working overtime. That thing was probably people were going in there and doing damage. It was like a fucking dogfight in there. People are just holding on to the handicap railing, stalling, just screaming for dear life. This is worse than Rip Ride Rocket.
I promise we don't only talk about poop on the awards show and bushes.
Oh, just you wait. If you think it gets better. It probably does. But the next award, this is the We Hardly Knew Ya award. This award we gave out last year as a fun look back at like some early speculation. And this one, I could have gone back and looked at some other things, but I think this is the nominee that would have taken it home because, well, I don't understand the criteria for this award, but I give it out anyways. I don't know if it's what would have been the best or what we wanted the most, or there is no criteria. But the We Hardly Knew Ya award for this year goes to Nightmare on Elm Street, dating all the way back to Horror Night Nightmare's first speculation map where they put the little moon and it was like Sleepy Time. It was a whole reference to Nightmare on Elm Street coming to this event this year. If you don't remember, yeah, me neither. It was a while ago, but I had to dig back through the archives through Spec Map 1, and that was on there. So the We Hardly Knew Ya award, man, that would have been cool, man. Freddy Krueger might have saved this event.
I know. I was going to say I had an honorable mention. I don't know if it falls into the same category as We Hardly Knew Ya because we knew him briefly, but hardly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure it was in that category. But I had the Wolfman. The Wolfman little
The Wolfman was we hardly knew him. You're right. You know, that would have been good. That was a quick in and out, pretend it didn't happen. I mean, he might have given the Lipstick Demon a run for the It's Got a Bush award. I don't even remember if it had pants on or not. His whole body's a bush. Gotta shave him, hold him down, and shave him. That's probably what they did after they ripped his stage out of there.
We hardly
took him out
knew
back
him.
And hosed him down and shaved him off and put him into another house as El Muerte or whatever. But man, oh man. All right, who's up next? Jamie?
Yes.
Yeah? All right.
Okay.
I'll have you tackle that next one.
So this is the Blood Moon's I Miss You Already award. Mind you, Nick came up with a lot of these categories, so if I seem a little confused by them, I kind of got to get the gist of them by reading them.
Yeah, if you need me to explain them, I can explain the thought process behind it.
No, I think I get this one because I definitely miss you already, and I think we all felt the same about this one. So we had on here Goblin's Feast, Major Sweets Candy Factory, and the Dead Coconut Club. And it was a unanimous decision by all three of us that I Miss You Already, the Dead Coconut Club, was the winner.
It was really, I don't think we talked about it too much on our, maybe we talked about it a little bit on our wrap up, but it really was like hands down the best.
It was so much
rendition of Dead Coconut they've ever had. And I'm excited to see what they do for the Christmas time. I'm sure just based off of how well I loved this one, I'll probably be disappointed, but I'm now more apt to give it a shake and like go in there and be like, hey, let's go see what Dead Coconut's about, even if it's a different theming, whether it's Christmas or Mardi Gras or whatever. They really hit it out of the park on this year's event, and I hope they continue to do that like dual split thing, because it does feel like two different bars almost.
That was so cool. It really does. I feel like it was really like designed well, and it was very immersive and like the 80s vampire like dance little numbers that they had. I thought it was really cool. And we had never, well, I know you had been to Dead Coconut Club previously when they've had it in the years, but I've never gone. And I feel like more times this year than, obviously I haven't gone, but that you have, we were like, you know what, let's go like get a drink at Dead Coconut before we go in. Yeah.
Yeah, usually we're just kind of rushing into the park, but
Yeah.
this year, whether that was because of the event as a whole or whether it was such a good bar, I don't know which one outweighed the other, but it wasn't in a fight to like convince me to go to the bar and not go right into Horror Nights. But all right, so next up, Seamus. Yeah, Seamus. Let me tackle this next award.
This is the Swing and a Miss Award. So I'm actually kind of surprised by how we voted. I mean, I guess I'm kind of surprised, but not surprised. I don't know.
It's definitely a toss-up either way.
Well, I think I may have like misinterpreted this award a little bit. Like if this had been like this is a shitty, awful house and I hate it award, I could totally understand the way it was voted.
Can I switch my vote?
But the winner is the museum deadly exhibits. We obviously know how Nick feels about this house. Not a fan. And Jamie was not too keen on it either. I didn't hate it as much as they did. I thought it was a worthy attempt. But I voted for Universal Monsters, Eternal Bloodlines. The only reason I voted for this, just wanted to kind of talk about it, is that when I think of Swing and a Miss, I think we attempted something and it just didn't hit. And that's kind of what they had with Universal Monsters this year. They kind of attempted like a different take on a story, thinking that it was going to work, and it just doesn't work as well as I think it was expected to. And that's kind of why I voted this way. I understand why you went museum, so I'll let you guys explain why this is the winner of this award. But
yeah. So graciously accepting the award. Yeah. So my thought process was kind of exactly the same thing as you, where I was like, my thought process of Swing and a Miss in terms of the museum for me was like a museum haunted house. Like that sounds like really cool. Like I thought that kind of had everything queued up for it to work perfectly. Like you can make a museum very creepy and like the exhibits come into life. Like it could have been really, really cool. And I think their attempt at it just didn't hit. So pretty much the same exact thought process you had for Monsters. Like we have this cool story, let's attempt it, and it just didn't work out. I mean, I could have gone either way, really. But for me, like I'd have to listen back, but I think I was probably pretty excited for like a whole museum style haunted house. Like especially being in the sprung tents, I was like, all right, this sounds pretty cool. I know I didn't love the tagline of like deadly exhibits. You could have just called it the museum. But that was my thought process for this winner, because I was like, I was excited for it and I thought it had everything teed up perfectly. But Jamie, is that kind of why you thought that the same way, or?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it all. Like, I wasn't too excited about this house to begin with. I didn't really have much hope for it. That sounds kind of mean, but I wasn't really. It's just not something that I'm interested in, and it just didn't really give off the folklore vibe that it was like saying. Like, was it like a folklore museum, dark folklore museum, whatever, kind of stuff like that. I feel like it just didn't really hit the point on that, and the things that I did like, they just completely fucking ruined. Like the Viking scene with the big ship, they made it smell like rotten fish, and oh my god, it was nauseating. I know people have said like The Exorcist smells like Texas Chainsaw. That was the worst smell I've smelled in a house. That actually made me like cover my nose, like because I got nauseous. It was not
fishy.
good, and that was the best part in the house, and I couldn't even enjoy it anymore.
I feel like they took all the extra raw fish and chips on like week 2 and just hid them in the floorboards and just let it marinate.
Very fishy. I did like
Very
the
stinky.
It was a
stinky room.
One of our listeners, I think it was Donovan, who put for one of the best scares in a house for the listener awards was the wallpaper scene, or the wallpaper scare in museum.
Yeah.
Which I know you didn't like it that much, Nick, but I thought that was fun. I always like the wallpaper kind of scenes, like in the Weekend too. I like that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it just didn't really
I like
fit
those
there.
scares. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like those scares, and I just think it might not have fit 100% there, just through the story they were telling. Like, I get it. The whole museum was coming to life, and that also includes the walls and stuff like that. But that's a pretty big stretch to like get everybody to understand. And I think that it was just like a cool scare that they wanted to add in there, which didn't really fit in any of their house, but you probably could have fit it in Slaughter in some capacity. Maybe not the rooms they selected, but if you really wanted that scare, you could have built something around it, shoehorned it in that way. But either way, museum, deadly exhibits, come on up, accept your swing and a miss award. And you probably, yep, nope, you don't want to accept it? Perfect. Yep, I figured that as much. Next up, we have best merch. So the nominees this year for our best merch, and again, there's like a bunch of items, but we just chose a couple little ones. The house shirt, I feel like that's always kind of there. That's just, the designs are kind of hard to mess up. Thankfully, the house shirts I typically always like. I'm trying to think back, but I do enjoy them. I like this one very much. The Insidious red and black tie-dye shirt, which was pretty cool. Or the orange HHN neon construction worker color shirt. Those are the nominees this year. I'm sure there's plenty of others out there that people are going to be like, why isn't this nominated? Well, because I didn't think of it. That's why. Winner goes to, in a 2-1 vote, the orange HHN shirt. The one that neither of us bought, I don't think.
I was going to say, I was like, why did they vote for this? They didn't even buy that shirt.
Different. I don't know. It was cool.
The John Cena shirt.
This was
it was different. It was a different type of thing we don't typically see.
I was like,
Yeah, it was
Seamus, I didn't really
different.
think it was your style.
Yeah, I didn't wear. I don't wear bright orange really, but
Mhm.
the fact that they took a big swing on that, fuck it, get an award. Come on up. It means nothing. So come on, accept your award shirt. Jamie, who's up next?
Up next, we have the Best Drink Award. The nominees for this one that were chosen amongst us, aka Nick, were the Surreal Soda, the Shirley Black, and Garaka's Icy Breath, which I actually didn't try this year. So
I think I had that once when I went for like Ghostbusters dinner, and I had like that.
Ghostbusters.
I had a thing from like I had a drink, a food item, and a dessert, all from Ghostbusters that night.
The cantaloupe and the marshmallow or whatever flavoring it was threw me off, or honeydew, whatever it was in there.
The honeydew. Yep.
Yeah. But in a 2-1 vote, the Shirley Black took the race. Mm-hmm.
I really like that. I liked the boba in there. The little
In the Shirley Black.
Yeah, it was good. I usually this is definitely the year I bought the most mixed drinks. I typically am very like beer heavy, but with them like barely having good beer options, I was kind of over Whole Hog. They've had it for like 4 years now, and it's just like not amazing. I feel like they limited its location as well, so like
Did
I don't
they have
want to
it
walk
this year?
all the way. They had it, I think, at one spot, like
I
one or
didn't
two
even see
spots,
it.
maybe.
Oh, huh.
I think it was just Transformers Bar, honestly. But I didn't feel like traveling there, so I'd almost just rather get, if I'm going to spend $13.50 or whatever on a beer, I might as well just spend $14.50 on a different cocktail and say I tried it at this point. But I really enjoyed that one. I ended up going back to that one a lot. So, best food item, Seamus.
Yeah, so the best food item, our nominees were the Triplets Burger, which I think only you had. I don't know. I didn't have it, so I don't know. I don't know, Jamie. You don't obviously eat meat, so you didn't have it. The next is the Walking Taco, then the Rocks from Hell, and the Fish and Chips. So those were our nominees. To a 2-1 vote, it came down to the Rocks from Hell,
and I don't
which
hate
I voted for.
Me too.
And Jamie voted for, and then Nick voted for the Walking Taco.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick was on the same wavelength as all you listeners, but I went Rocks from Hell just because they were different. Mm-hmm. Like I said, like I like when they go unique items. I like poppers, whether the jalapeno poppers or mac and cheese poppers, whatever they might be. They weren't super spicy, but they weren't like bland either. There was just enough of a kick to them that they made them, good. And it was a different type of food item. And I can't hate when they try more unique options. So
I love them.
That's why I went that way.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Walking Taco is hard to argue against it, but I feel like they've done it before, so that's kind of why I didn't go that route.
Yeah, the Rocks from Hell I really liked.
Too. Sorry to
Fish
interrupt
and
you.
Yeah, the
chips.
fish
Yeah.
and chips. I don't eat fish, but I've heard that it was really good for those that liked fish. So
It was weird that they were pricey, but they were worth it every time. It was like actually nailed, and like usually for fish and chips at a park, it's kind of like
yeah, I mean the thing about Horror Nights and its food options, generally the food is worth what you pay for it.
Mhm.
It's the drinks that tend to be like more than they're worth. And I don't know if it's just like a strategy thing. Like obviously they can spend less on drinks and make more on them.
Yeah.
Whereas the food, if they're going to spend the money to make the food, they might as well make it worth it.
Yeah.
So
I
No,
had Nick bring
I-
me home a fish and chips before.
Yeah,
I was like, would that be weird?
Yeah, I ordered it and I went down to the front store where they have like the little bakery, and I was like, "Can I have one of those like little clear clamshell boxes to bring this food home?" And they're like, "So nice." They're like, "Oh yeah, here, come on, put it in." And I was like, "I got a really weird question for you. Can I just have the box?" They're like, "What?" I was like, "The box to put the food in." They're like, "Yeah." And I had like my old container on top of the new container of the fish and chips, and I was like just trying to conceal it. I was like, I'll be home in no time. It'll be fine. All right. Next up, best set piece in a zone. I believe this is my go.
Mhm.
The nominees this year for best set piece in a zone go to the Brazen Bull, the Murder Airboat, which is the little airboat in Swamp of the Undead, the Demon Queen stage, or the Iron Maiden / little stage setup they got going over there for the King Queen. And this year, 2-1. Best Scare Zone prop is going to Torture Fair with the Brazen Bull. Come on up, Jester. You little jingly bastard. Yeah, that was really cool. They had the fog, they had the character, they had a prop, they had audio synced up to it. It's pretty cool. I didn't vote for it, but I don't really have love like either way. Like I thought, so I voted for the Murder Airboat. I guess that would be the runner up. And I thought that was just a kind of a cool set piece. The way the light came through it at times was pretty sick.
Mhm.
It would have been cool if it was like, I think what would have set it aside is if they were able to either motion the propellers or add like propeller sounds to make it sound like like it's getting like caught on this body that's dismembered in there. But that was what I kind of voted towards. But the Brazen Bull, I think brought a different level, and that's what a Scare Zone prop should be. It should be able to be interactive. It should give a character something to do and kind of make it a fun experience for everybody. So best set piece, Brazen Bull. You can trot on up here. We'll lead you to slaughter and eat you. Steak. Jamie, you are next, I think. Yes.
Yes. So I interpreted by this award the Dead Man Scare Zone to House Award that this meant one of these scare zones you think would be best turned into a house, as how
Correct.
Dead Man's wasn't. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So the nominees for Dead Man Scare Zone to House Award are Demon Queens, Torture Fair, and Duality of Fear.
I can explain why after.
Okay. In a landslide, we all three voted unanimously, and Torture Fair was the winner.
I think that would make a very, even if they took that Dead Man's beautiful approach, I think they could make a really cool looking fair itself and have us walking through the fairgrounds.
Me too.
I put Duality of Fear on there because I do think we could have like not a full choose thy fate kind of thing, but like you could have that essentially would have been Sinister and Surreal's house. They could have done an origin. There's no props in there to base it off. So, but the fact that it was supposed to be their zone, that's how I think that idea, if it got pulled into a house, could make something interesting. More so than like Swamp of the Undead or Blumhouse or whatever. But that's why I put that on the list. It might seem crazy, but I think when you think about it, it's up there. I think that would make a cool house if they were to dive into the lore of those two characters a little bit more. So, Seamus, you are up.
yeah, and this is the best scare actor in a Scare Zone award. Again, kind of not surprising how the vote ended up, but at the same time, somewhat surprising. I figured this was going to be unanimous, but I guess it wasn't. But our nominees are A, the King and Queen from Torture Fair, who very, very, very good actors, great characters. The Grabber / the Black Phone cast from Blumhouse. The female contortionist zombie, which I actually don't remember which one this is, but
Swamp of the Undead. She would like break her neck and like get all
okay,
fucking creepy and weird. She killed it.
gotcha. And then the Demon Queen or Queens. So with a vote of 2-1, Demon Queens wins this award, best scare actor in a scare zone, and the runner-up is the Grabber / Black Phone cast, which Jamie voted for. And I kind of understand why, but I just kind of figured as far as not only being an original idea, very much when it comes to like a creative thought process, when it comes to character design, costume designing, I think Demon Queens just runs away with it wholeheartedly. I think that overall it's the best package you're gonna get with a scare zone type of scare actor, which isn't your typical here's a vampire, here's a zombie, here's an IP character from some movie you like. That's kind of why I thought I went the way I went. I don't know if you feel differently or similar to how I feel. And then obviously, Jamie, we understand why you voted for Blumhouse, but
yeah, I kind of did. I broke them up almost in pairs this time because it was hard to differentiate a lot of these from the other. Like, I feel like you can't have the king without the queen. I feel like you can't have really like one demon queen without the others. Like, it's just kind of a package deal. So I did kind of package it. So to the female zombie contortionist girl and Swamp and the Undead, you put up a good fight, but you were really outnumbered like 5-2 to 3-1. So, but the demon queens, yeah, I mean, I thought that their guest interactions were all on par. They had the cool little seance. Their costumes were obviously amazing. But Jamie, any follow up on your lone Grabber pick?
Yeah, I really just picked this because I'm selfish and I like the Grabber and I love the Black Phone, and I thought all of the cast in it did really well, even with so many people stopping and taking photos and everything. But Vance, Finney, the Grabber, if you're listening, any of you, love you guys. I'll miss you.
So I put him on there because I knew I needed to throw you a bone there. We need to get him on the nominee list.
Not to undermine any of the demon queens or the female zombie contortionist and king queen, because you all were wonderful too.
All right, so let's start getting to some of these heavy hitters. Best scare zone. Now the nominees, obviously it's all 5 of them, but we really narrowed it down to our top 3. And obviously you listened to our rankings last week, hopefully obviously, but we did have a little bit of a differing of opinion, so it was cool to see where this landed. So we had Demon Queens, Torture Fair, and Swamp of the Undead. Now, if I told you Torture Fair didn't receive a single vote, would you believe me? Well, you fucking better, because it didn't get a goddamn vote. Demon Queens, 2-1, took out Swamp of the Undead for Scare Zone of the Year. Seamus, Swamp of the Undead, was that where, did you rank it number 1? I can't remember.
I believe I did. Okay. If I didn't, it was close. It was between that and Demon Queens. I think overall package wise, it was the best scare zone this year. I think probably a little unfair because it benefits from where it was. Mm-hmm. I say that every year, but the last couple of seasons, I haven't been a fan of that scare zone. So coming into this year, I wasn't expecting a whole lot. And it kind of, it took me by surprise, and it definitely ended up being the most memorable and interactive scare zone compared to all of them. I liked Demon Queens a lot. I just don't think there was enough going on to really win it over for me. So that's the only reason I voted that way.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, it didn't win, but yeah, you're right.
You're right.
Yeah, no, I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about Demon Queens last week, so we don't really need to dive too much into that. So let's go into our next award. So Jamie, I believe this is your turn now.
So our next award is
this one's shocking. Shocking.
This one is fucking shocking. Honestly, I don't even want to friggin' read it. So, House we need a sequel to, and the nominees are Slaughter Cinema 2, so it would be a sequel, The Museum Deadly Exhibits, and Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America. And in a 2-1 victory, shockingly enough, The Museum Deadly Exhibits takes
what?
the
They win a
award.
good award? What? Who voted for that?
Seamus, I get why you voted for it, but Nick, it don't make. I don't know why.
You know why I voted for it?
You want to give it
Because-
another
I think
chance?
it needs a second chance to.
I get it.
To try to shine. Again, I still think it was better than a couple other houses. Just my own personal opinion, but I understand why people would be hesitant about wanting to see it again. But yeah, Nick, you voting for it, I'm a little surprised.
Going back to what we just talked about with the Swing and a Miss award, I think a museum setting could work so well as a haunted house, and this house didn't. But I'm not completely shut off from the idea of revisiting a museum, some sort of museum. Maybe it's not Museum Deadly Exhibits 2 or whatever, but a museum-based haunted house is a winner. Can be a winner. It wasn't this year. It's a big old loser. But I think it could be a winner. I really do think that's a really cool setting. Maybe it was the whole folklore thing that they lost track of it. Just fuck it. Just do Night at the Museum horror. Just do a Smithsonian style museum. Like,
I was just gonna say, you just want Night at the Museum.
I do. I just want Night at the Museum. I just want Pet Storehouse.
I walked in the living room the other night. I was like, "What are you watching?" He was like, "Night at the Museum." Or it was Night at the
No.
Museum 2, I think.
No,
Or,
it was
I'm sorry. It was
National Treasure.
Treasure.
I'm made of wax, Larry. What are you made out of?
Similar vibes, I guess.
Those are like two of.
Funny.
I love those movie series. I don't care. Night at the Museum and National Treasure are literally national treasures. But no, it was more of a vote for the idea of it than the house. So that's why I voted that way. So hell yeah, museum getting a fucking good award. Let's go. Next up, Seamus. I believe this one is you.
Let me pull my phone over here because the cat's being annoying. This is Best Scare Actor in a House. And the way this voted, I guess I'm not quite surprised that it wasn't a unanimous decision, but maybe I don't know. But the nominees is The Bride in Black from Insidious, the drunk guy in Mardi Gras Murders who vomited in my face one night. I must add, there was one night where he actually got me in the eyeballs. So if you're listening, good aim. Red Lipstick Demons, and then the Candy Kid, dark hair in the control room. By Gat.
By the guest activated trigger, like that.
Oh,
little
by
room.
the trigger. Yes, yep. Sorry. So to a 2-1 vote, not a 3-0. It is the Red Lipstick Demons in Insidious. But Jamie did vote for the Candy Kid in the control room of
that was him every time. I loved it.
my Major Sweets. Yeah, this one was actually hard for me to vote for because I kind of wanted to vote for Drunk Guy, but I felt like that would have been like a cheesy throwaway vote. Because I mean, it was fun, but I wouldn't consider him like really the best scare actor this year. So I had to just go with the house that scared me the most, with the most memorable situation, which is the Red Lipstick Demons. That's why I voted that way. I guess my like I said, Drunk Guy would have been my second vote.
Yeah, I mean that the energy that these lipstick demons had to put in was just like insane. Like they were just running around scaring people
because they had a bush, right?
Yeah,
I was gonna say you can't forget that bush.
You can't forget the bush. That best Bush award winning demons. But yeah, that kid in Major Sweets was insane. I don't know if anybody listening knows that person, but that there was one individual cast member that was just like insane every time, like tongue out in your face.
If Avion's listening, I'll ask him. It was your cast, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, cast B, I think.
B.
So
yeah.
It was I have a 50-50 shot there, so there's no C cast. So but yeah, that kid was just on top of it. So next up, I believe this one's me, and this is the best set design. And the nominees for this were Triplets of Terror, A Quiet Place, and Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America. In a 2-1 vote, the Monsters of Latin America come on up. You got a long walk to accept this speech. You got to walk across the border and come accept that award. You got to go cross continent to come get this award again. But yeah, that was a 2-1 vote. I am the lone vote for A Quiet Place. I thought the set was really one of the shining moments for A Quiet Place, but I also made the list, so I can see the beauty in Monstros as well. I think that graveyard scene right up front was just really cool. I mean, you just had, I think in that house, you had what helped it was such a contrast in sets too. Like you had the bar stuff in El Sabon, and then La Lechuza, you had like the dirty farm and stuff like that. Like it, and then in, was it I forget the names of them already, but you had the baby snatcher, which was more like home style. It had a lot of very contrasting ones, and the way that they differentiated them was really, really good. And I'm okay with Monstros winning this, but I do think A Quiet Place was deserving as the runner up, because that was, I think, pretty cool. I mean, that first facade just coming into like that sign, I know it was like basic, but it just looked cool. Like the corn, the farm style entrance, the red light. It was pretty cool. But yeah, any thoughts on set design before we move on to the next award?
The Insidious set design was cool too. If you like the films.
Yeah, it was. I just didn't. I think the others were. I don't know. I think agree. Insidious was so based off of scares that it was, like Lipstick Demon was mostly like curtains and stuff. Like it was just.
That's true.
Built to
I still would have voted for Monstros either way, but just wanted to throw that out there. At least the facade in like the first room.
Alrighty. Next up, Jamie, want to tackle this one for us?
Yes. Next up, we have. Oops, I almost got rid of my notes here. Best scare in a house. So the nominees we had were Ghostbusters Post-Containment Unit Triple Scare, The A Quiet Place Dark Hallway, El Silbón Head, The Red Lipstick Demon, and The Bride in Black Hallway. And again, in a 2-1 vote, The Red Lipstick Demon takes the cake for best scare in a house. With
I hope
me
he
and
could fit all these awards in his bush.
I know. Well, Nick, you still voted for the old Insidious. Nick voted for the Bride in Black Hallway, which was also a good scare.
Just gonna be trotting around with all these golden trophies falling out of his bush,
just hanging off his bush,
dangling from his bush. Yeah, and I also do want to give a shout out. That Quiet Place Dark Hallway was pretty fucking scary too.
Super scary. It was.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
I always thought I was past it, and I was not. I am surprised it didn't smack me in the face, because I kind of got ballsy a little bit. I would like kind of walk towards the right. No, I wasn't peeking around. I was just walking on the right side, so that way if it popped out, it could hit me. And I want to see how close. I just want to get close to danger. I want to feel danger. Seamus, do you want to tackle this next award? Hand this one out.
Yeah. So this is our best costume design award for a house, and our nominees for this award are Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, Slaughter Cinema 2, and with a unanimous vote, the winner, Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America. I think it's pretty obvious why this is the winner here. That house, for all its faults, was probably the most luscious house, if I can use that word. It is definitely one that I will remember the most when it comes to obviously set design as a whole, but the costumes themselves were really well done. Very much reminiscent of the culture that it was inspired by, and I give them a lot of credit for putting a ton of work into making that work, and not feel cheesy and not feel phoned in. So,
and also to add before we go on, I should have in the title noted that this was best house costume design. I did not include the scare zones in this category, and maybe next year I will remember to do one on each. But this year was just for houses. Scare zones, better luck next year. Most fun house. The nominees: Goblin's Feast, which, if it was a true story, it wouldn't be too fun because we'd be getting eaten. Major Sweets Candy Factory, and Slaughter Cinema 2. I think we had this was a 2-1 vote, but honestly, any of these three I would have been okay with as a winner, because I was finding myself going to these houses and coming out just like having a blast. But in a 2-1 vote, Goblin's Feast takes the cake for the most fun house. I mean, when you're walking into a house doing a fucking jig and clapping along to the music, like, how much more fun can it possibly get? A lot more fun, because every room just got better and better. And really, what made this the most fun house, really, for me, is the characters. They were just eating it up. They were pointing at stuff. They were doing, they were trying to get your direction pointed somewhere else. I was going through the house one time, and I was staring at one goblin or orc or whatever the fuck, and I had eye contact with him, and he just pointed behind me, and I turned around, and then the other one was face to face with me, and I was like, okay, that was cool. Like, they understood the role. They had a blast. The audio cues in this house were amazing. Like, I had so much fun with this. But Jamie, you voted for Slaughter Cinema 2. Again, like I said, I'm okay with anything on this list, really, because I made the list. So why did you vote for it as topping the others?
As much fun and enjoyable Goblins was, and even though I loved it so much, I'd really found myself getting excited every time we would do Slaughter. I feel like we did Goblins a lot more this season, so maybe that's why I didn't vote for this one per se. But as some of you may know, I'm a big fan of anthology horror and different things and houses, and I feel like the diversity and all the different scenes and rooms and movies that it went over just always gave me something different to look at. And I feel like every time we did a run through that house, even though it's the same things we'd be seeing, I feel like I'd always notice or pick up on something different. So I thought that was fun. And this was just a really all around, like, as Nick would say, one of his favorite words, schlocky, like, house.
Mm-hmm. It was very campy, very schlocky. Yes. All right. Biggest surprise. Jamie, you can have this one.
So this kind of goes to my point for what I was going to say for the last one. So biggest surprise, the nominees were Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, Goblin's Feast, and Demon Queens. In another 2-1, the winner was Goblin's Feast. So
back-to-back winners. You can stay on stage, Goblins. Get back up here.
Get up here. So I voted for
the awards are leaving
as biggest surprise over voting it for most fun house, because I feel like this better suited how I felt about this house, because I feel like it was such a big surprise, especially not expecting too much out of it, not especially I think for all of us too, just not being that into like fantasy or like goblins and orcs and that kind of stuff like that, and we were all pleasantly surprised with it. But Seamus had a little bit of a different opinion, which I also think was very favorable as well, because I felt the same way about this. I feel the same way about all these, honestly. So
yeah, I mean, there were nominees for a reason, right? Like I wouldn't have all of the nominees I kind of put I'm okay with as a winner, because they were fitting in that category. And I think for me, the reason why I voted for Goblin's Feast was I remember our text thread when Goblin's Feast got announced on that Monday, and we were like, and Jamie was on the porch, I was on the couch, and she comes busting in, and she's like, "What the fuck is this?"
I was
and I was like,
mad.
I don't know. And then me and Seamus were going at it, like, what? Why? What is this? I don't understand this at all. Like,
I was like, Goblin's Feast? Seriously?
Yeah, like, this is the stupidest fucking thing they've ever done. Like, this is the dumbest house.
And look at me now, being a hater.
We were the dumbest people.
Dumb idiots.
One of my favorites. But yeah, Seamus voted for Frozen Empire. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which I as well was very surprised with, because
definitely
Seamus, why did you vote this way? Because I'm sure what you did, I did.
I had it ranked so low. I had it ranked at 10.
Yeah.
That I just didn't expect anything from it, because I didn't really like the movie and never really been a Ghostbusters guy. I've said that before. So this is nothing new. But I was just pleasantly surprised by how well the house worked. I kind of figured it was going to be, good for what they were going for.
Yeah.
But it actually, I didn't expect it to hold my attention the way this house did. So it's more of a personal surprise more than just globally overall, what was the big surprise? Because obviously Goblins was a surprise, but I wasn't as wildly surprised it was good because I figured it was going to be something different. I had hopes that it wasn't going to be just another Dragons, and it wasn't. It actually did what it seemed it was going for. Like it felt like it was a Goblin's Feast. It actually felt like what they were going for. It wasn't, here's a bunch of weird goblin gremlin things fighting and we're going to call it Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm never going to let dragons drive. Like that's never going to end for me. It's like there wasn't a dragon battle. You call it dueling dragons, and it was dueling goblins. But whatever. The point is this, at least this was an actual goblin's house, and that's what they intended it to be. So it was surprising, but it wasn't exactly like something that I was expecting it to be bad necessarily. Whereas Ghostbusters, I was just kind of expecting it to be boring, and it wasn't boring. It was actually pretty fun.
It was very fun. So Seamus, want to tag along and keep on trucking at these awards?
Yeah, so now we're going into the best facade in a house. And our nominees for this was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, obviously the firehouse and the bookstore. I guess we're going to get into the bookstore, like not the bookstore, but you know what I'm talking about.
The occult shop. Yeah, Ray's occult shop.
A Quiet Place, and Insidious, Major Sweets. I was reading the wrong line here. Major Sweets Candy Factory. So not surprising, with a 2-1 vote, the winner is Major Sweets Candy Factory. I did vote for Ghostbusters personally, but I'll let you guys kind of sing Sweets praises.
I did, once I saw your vote, I was torn because I do love that little entrance. I mean, what they did, and before I get to Major Sweets, I will sing the praises of Ghostbusters. The little like tricks that they played in that facade were brilliant, right? Like you have to walk up the little ramp like you're coming up onto a side street, and obviously they built it up high because they had to put the fog machines underneath that, so that way when the cans shake or the hot dog cart starts fogging, like that's where the fog's coming from. That's why you're walking up, in case you didn't know. But I just, every time I took the corner into Major Sweets, it had the visuals. I know it was a little smaller, but it had the visuals. It also had the scent. You had that candy smell, which kind of plays into it. And then you had the intercom, which was just like getting you 100% ready. And it set the tone for the house. It was goofy. It was funny. It was gross. It was dirty. And it was still beautiful. It had the little sweet sign. It had the smokestack. I just thought it was really cool. And I think I might have given it bonus points in my head because it was smashed into Fast and the Furious, right? It didn't have a lot of room to play with, and they still like pulled out a winner. But Jamie, what are your thoughts?
So I wasn't very happy with your choices for the best facade because this wasn't what I was going to vote for. But out of the three, I did enjoy this, and I really liked.
So what would you have put on there? Well, what one is the one that sticks out to you? Maybe I just forgot something.
You guys are going to make fun of me.
Probably.
No, not.
Oh, no, probably not.
I mean, it wasn't much of a facade, but I just love like the drive-in style of Slaughter. I just thought that was so fun, and watching all the different movies.
All right, never mind. Yeah, I am gonna make fun of you. That was a shit. Wasn't good. I mean, I get it. Like, it's a drive-in, but like, how much of a facade do you need for Slaughter Cinema? You know what I mean?
I think it was like I didn't consider it there either, just because like again it was exactly reused. It was if this was Slaughter Cinema 1,
hey, I didn't get to
maybe
see it before.
I mean, it was reused from Bugs, because even Bugs is kind of just like a little like projection
billboard
up on the wall. Yeah. Like it really wasn't.
I like the Bugs facade too.
just like big signs. I just like billboards.
Easy to please, obviously.
You really like Scary Ohio then too, because Scary was the same idea. It was just a big billboard.
Pretty good facade. Pretty good facade.
Pretty good. Didn't really need too much to get the point across. No, but I did like that facade, and I had mentioned it before with the set design of the house itself, but I did like the Insidious facade, the walking through the red door and walking into the house. Yeah,
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the house itself, the house front itself was really cool, but for me that was like, it's really cool, but it's also not necessarily something I haven't seen there before.
Yeah, that's just coming from me being just me and liking things that I like. So yeah,
billboards, houses, whatever.
But the Major Sweets facade
like
was
what you
really
like,
cool.
all right? Doesn't matter what we think.
All right. Well, I'm going to tackle this one that I think is a clean sweep, and I don't think we even really need to put other nominees because, much like the listeners, for our best IP, Insidious the Further takes it home. Clean sweep, 3-0. A Quiet Place and Frozen Empire did not gain any votes from us, although, yeah, no, Insidious is clear cut the winner. There was really not much else to expand upon that. We didn't have many IPs to work with this year, so it. Not to say they couldn't have held their own against some other heavy hitter IPs, but, it was definitely a shining moment in this year's event. Jamie, you get to tackle this one. This is a fun one.
This is a fun one. This is our Best Cast Award. So, we'll preface by saying that all the cast did fantastic. All the scare actors working hard in their roles in their houses. But our nominees were Insidious the Further, Major Sweets Candy Factory, and Goblin's Feast. And the winner for the best cast, only nominated by us, so it's nothing too crazy, was Major Sweets Candy Factory, a 2-1, which me and Seamus voted for the Major Sweets, and Nick went with Goblin's Feast. Also, a fair vote as well.
I really kind of only threw that vote there because I knew Sweets was already winning because you two had voted before me. And I just wanted to make sure Goblins got a little extra love.
Up a little bit, yeah.
I just want them to get a little extra love besides being. I don't think it deserved to be. I think Major Sweets deserved to win, but I don't think it was deserving of a clean sweep. I think it was like a gentleman's sweep. You have to give them one. But man, I mean, Major Sweets Candy Factory. It's like those characters were like not doing candy. It seemed like they were doing like fucking coke. They were out of their mind in there. Yeah, they were just insane. Like we talked earlier, like that kid by the control room who was just like in your face, like, I love candy. Ah! I was like, what is going on in their lives right now? There's one girl, I forget the exact spot, but she like comes out to the left and she's kind of behind some like walling or whatever. I don't know what, like she came out like fucking spin kicking with her like feet up in the air and just like crowd stomping. Like it looked like she was at like a fucking metal show, like just coming out swinging, throwing fucking heat. And I was just like, wow, this is like such a nothing role, right? Like you're the kid that's had candy and you're over in this corner. But a lot of people in this cast or just house in general took these very probably minimal roles when it comes to storytelling and just gave it a 12 on the energy scale. And it really, we felt that. And that's what made this house so brilliant. But sorry, I jumped into your category, but continue giving out their flowers.
Me?
Yeah.
For what, Major Sweet? You didn't jump in. No, that was fine.
Oh, well, then say your piece for it.
No, I was... you pretty much nailed it for me. No, it was a really good house, though, and I feel like altogether the cast worked well, and it seemed like even the long hours that everyone worked through the Horror Nights season, the spark never diminished. It's kind of cheesy to put it that way, but it just felt like they were giving it all, and I feel like those are such like hard roles to do. I mean, I would imagine scare acting to any role capacity would be difficult, but just having to be that energetic, like spunky kind of like craziness, like that's got to take a lot out of you compared to some of the other roles in the houses. You have the more somber, like dark, like broody, scary characters. But I don't know, man, the Major Sweets really did it. And even the person who they had play Major Sweets, even in all the different casts, looked identical to him, and he would just pop out around the corner, scare the shit out of me. I mean, Taffy was great. The
you
girl,
will be smushed,
which was I just loved it so much, and you just felt so bad for her. The girl with the jawbreaker in her mouth, and she was like, oh, when she was walking out. Every time I loved seeing that. I loved that design and that makeup, and yeah, just all around. What a good house. Great cast. Seems like you guys really enjoyed yourself, because I would have if I was in this house.
Up until about 10:30, because then you'd be trying to go to sleep.
I would. I'd be like, well, guys, it's an early night for me.
Clocking out.
You guys got this, right?
All right. Seamus, why don't you tackle this next one?
All right. And this is our second to last award. But this is our award for the scariest house. And our nominees are Insidious the Further, Monstros, The Monsters of Latin America, and A Quiet Place. And unsurprisingly, the scariest house was a unanimous vote, clean sweep for Insidious the Further. I don't think it was close. I don't think there was a scarier house this season. I think this house was the only house where I had genuine scares every time I did it. And again, that's no shade at the other casts, but this house just had everything going for it, had all the right elements in it, and it just worked in every facet. So, very hard to argue against Insidious being the scariest house. I'm sure people have other opinions, but I think Insidious is generally accepted as probably the best house when it comes to scares and having that vibe of constantly being uneasy the whole time. And yeah, it's just such a very good house, and I could sit here and wax poetic about it all night long, and I don't want to bore people, but I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that, but I this house is incredible, so how I feel.
This was, hands down. Yeah, hands down the scariest. This is an award that, a lot of these, whether it's like best house, scariest house, best IP, best cast, like we try to do these every year. I think this year in the scariest house category, there was less competition just because of how scary it was. In past years, it could be a 2-1 vote and a little bit of a split decision, but I just don't think this year this category was that stacked. Insidious was just from day one, and it was built that way, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier. The way they constructed the house was built to be scary, not storytelling, not scenic, not beautiful. It was built to be scary, and that's exactly what it accomplished. So well done. All right. We are on our final award, and this is the Best House Award. The nominees: Insidious the Further, Major Sweets Candy Factory, and Goblin's Feast. And to a surprise of nobody, get on up here with your big old bush, Insidious. You get to win one more award. Tuck that little fucker in there and enjoy your award season. You've come home with the gold, my friend. Insidious the Further, Best House Award. The bride in black is coming on up, dressed so beautifully. The key-faced demon is lurking around.
Crane.
Parker Crane is here. Whatever the other kids' names are, I forget all the cast that's in there.
Quinn Brenner, get on up here with your broken legs.
Yeah, wheel her up on here. Just don't go looking out that window. Fall on out again. But yes, this was a 3-0 vote. I did enjoy this one a lot. Major Sweets and Goblins, you put up a good fight. You really did. I know a 3-0 sweep doesn't sound like it was close, but it was very hard to make that decision of being like, was it my favorite house? As of right now, it kind of was. Time will tell. Things change. Opinions change. Sometimes over time, stuff gets better. Stuff gets worse. Maybe you'll think of something more fondly. Maybe you'll dislike it a little bit more. And that's just kind of how it goes. So maybe if we revisit how these houses lined up for us, next year or whatever, maybe we'll think differently. But as of right now, Insidious the Further, taking home best house. I didn't tally up how many awards that the demon has to stick in his bush, but there's probably a lot of them. There's a lot of gold going up into that little thing. So thankfully it was just a big bush that, and who knew coming to Fear and Beer's award show, you'd hear us talk about a bush for an hour and a half, but you just expect the unexpected here with Fear and Beer. Alrighty, well, thank you again for another amazing Halloween Horror Nights season. We obviously put out content to have fun with things and talk about it, but man, we miss you. We really do. It's only November, and I miss being super tired at work and hungover. I miss it all. No, I don't. I do miss that.
Yeah.
You miss it a lot. Come on.
A little HHN hangover at like 8:30 in the morning, trying to like give somebody fucking mac and cheese bites. That sounds pretty good.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Know when you're going the next night.
Yeah.
Or that night.
And be like, you know what? I'm so tired, but fuck it, I'm going.
That was Nick. I'm so exhausted, but I'm gonna go home and change and go to Horror Nights for a little bit.
Yeah. All you need is a good shower and a Celsius and right as rain. Good to go. Chipper.
Zin?
All right. Well, that wraps up our HHN Awards show. We will be back next week with, I think we're going to, let's kick off spec season a little early this year. Let's do our way too early HHN34 predictions next week.
Real early.
I think that's a good time to do it. And you'll definitely want to check this out, because I dug through the last couple of years or maybe last year at least, to figure out what we did. We have consistently guessed in November and December a handful of things. So if you want some, and I don't want to say insight, but like if you want some educated decisions of what we think is going to happen next year, come on back next week, because we've gotten some stuff right. So there's no promises that things will be right, but I'm promising that at least one thing will be right. I'm pretty sure. Our track record shows that. I have a weird mind for these things. I'm psychic. People have commented on our stuff, and they're like, "Are you psychic? Like, how did you do this?" Like, we called slaughter in January. Like, we come up with some cool stuff. So next week, check us out. Way too early HHN 34 predictions. But until next time, this is Nick.
This is Seamus.
This is Jamie.
Happy Bush. Oh, there it is. There's the music.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Fear and Beer, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whatever streaming platform you are listening to us on. You can find us on all of our socials at Fear and Beer Pod.